There's a little kitty named Ziggy soaring through the skies. She's fierce and robust with her own airline. She's a feline dream, promoting pet adoption, spreading love it seems.
Well, hello my friends and welcome to Ziggy Air. Today is a beautiful day here in the northeast of the United States. We are in Laconia, New Hampshire, one of my favorite airports here. And as you can see, we're starting to see some colors around because fall is soon approaching. But anyway, today we are here and we're going to start our series of training videos on how to use the navigational systems here in the different GA aircraft. Today we're starting with NDB, and it's one of the simplest systems that you will encounter in your GA aircraft, but it's one that is really important to understand because it's really going to be your backup system if you lose GPS or you know, for some reason VORs go out, whatever. NDBs are going to be the last resort for you to navigate if you're, let's say, you know, a cloudy day or you can't see, you can't do visual references and stuff like that, and you need to go to a specific point. So NDVs will increase your situational awareness here. So we're going to get going. We're going to be taking off and going to be in the air, and I'm going to show you how to give you some background and how to set up your NDBs. All right, let's get going. And by the way, my friends, if you are not a subscriber, go ahead and give us your subscription. You know, Ziggy Air is a channel that does Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we do different kinds of videos, but we really focus on pet adoptions and getting you the best co-pilot that you can find. We support organizations like Pilots to the Rescue, which is an organization that flies pets from overcrowded shelters to shelters where they can be adopted. So give us your like. You know, we want to grow our channel. We want to continue with our, supporting our cause, and your subscription and your like will go a long way in doing that for us. All right, we're gonna pick it up. We're gonna be in the air, and let's pretend this is kind of like a cloudy day, and I'll show you how to get going with this. All right, my friends, we are about 1,000 feet AGL, and we are positioned over the beautiful Lake Winnipesaukee here in New Hampshire. And where I got it on active pause here, so I'm just gonna show you without having to worry too much here about piloting this for a little while here. So I got the tablet open here, and I have it filter on the map just to show only here in the navigation, only to show NDBs. I think that will make it easier for us to find where we want to go. So I'm going to tune in to the NDB for Concord, New Hampshire. That's so we are, you know, cloudy day. We lost our GPS signal. We don't have that available. We don't have VORs for some reason, and the only thing that we have available is NDB. So in the map we have these NDBs actually are becoming less and less available now these days with GPS. So they're still a thing, and you know, they remain a very simple technology, and it's usable for your basic air navigation. So their numbers have been declining over the years. and it's a lot to do with, you know, maintenance cost and like I said before, the proliferation of GPS. But they still have a place in navigation. So, and many other countries in the world still use active NDBs, with the exception of perhaps Japan. I think they're done with those. And they've been in use since the 1930s. So the antennas transmit a radio signal that is between 530 kilohertz and 1700 kilohertz range. But it really doesn't provide any embedded directional signals like a VOR. And um, and then it really doesn't give you also doesn't give you any distance. That, you know, that there are like limitations in here, but we'll have to deal with that since we don't have anything else. So we're going to use the ADF, the automatic direction finder, and that's where the instrumentation that's going to allow us to pick up the signal here. So let's set this up here. So one thing that, you know, you have a map like this, or you have your you know, your charts or whatever, and then you're gonna look up your, you know, you're looking up for your closest NDBs here. In this case, we're going to Concord, the airport, Concord, New Hampshire here. All right, so we're gonna look for the frequency here on the NDBs, and the tablet gives us some basic information here. So we're gonna go more info here, and go to frequencies. And in this case, for Concord, we have the frequency of 216. Now, you can go ahead and set this automatically here, but I'm going to show you how to set it in the ADF here, so it's not very difficult. So one thing we want to do is we want to set our navigational communications instrumentation here, and click on ADF here, and then we're going to come in and click set the ADF here, and then go into frequency. So that switches like, you know, you would do in your com radio. It switches the frequency, and then we will set it up in here, and then we'll switch it. So we go in here, and we're gonna bring down this to 200, and then use the smaller to bring it down to 1, and then you right click right in the middle here, you right click, and that switches us to decimals here, and you'll select 216. Once that's set up here, you'll click the frequency button switcher here, and that will switch it to 216. And now, so we are set. And one of the things in the it doesn't give you the information here, but NDBs will set up a Morse code for you to double check that you were in the correct NDB. So you would have the Morse code, and then you'll listen to that, and we'll hear it once we get closer to it. We'll hear that Morse code, and then that's the way the pilots would verify that they were in the correct NDB station. All right, once that's done here, well, we can switch it. We'll use a tablet just to as a reference for this video, but let's say you don't have the tablet for some reason, and you don't have the GPS, and yeah, you are flying only on NDB signal. So the other thing that we're going to come in and do is just to get this ADF gauge here, and so you'll notice that there's a arrow here, and this arrow, and this is the direction of your this is your airplane here. So the since we're not close enough to pick up the signal, the arrow will always point to the right. Okay, so let's get closer to Conquer and then pick up that signal. Let's say we are within the range and we're tuning to that NDB. Right now, I think the let me check on it. I think it's 26 miles that you have to be within that range, 26.5 miles to be in the range of the NDB. So let's get a little bit closer to Concord, and you'll see that once that happens, you'll see that that comes and gets picked up here. Now the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to nav here, and that'll become a little bit more obvious once we pick up the signal. All right, so let's get going and closer to that signal, and we'll pick it up then. All right, so it looks like we are within the range, and you can know that by listening to that Morse code there. So we picked up the Morse code, and we verified that that is our NDB, the one that we want to go to. So let's get closer here, and then it's pretending that we are in, clouds, and we don't have a, visual references. Now, as you can see now, I'm going to level off here for a minute, and then as you can see now, the arrow now is pointing in a different direction, which is pointing to the NDB that we are tracking. One of the things that I like to do, and this is just for situational awareness, is I do turn in. I use the knob to turn it into my current direction, which is right now due west a little bit here, and let's go ahead and do that. And now we are 240 right now. There we go. Now what we want to do is to turn in and kind of chase this needle here, the direction of the NDB. So this is right here, it's called the Luber line, and that's where, this is your regardless of your direction, the needle always points to the NDB regardless of whether you're heading or not. So that's where the NDB is. I'm just getting a little bit off course here. So what we're going to do is we're going to chase that needle and make sure that the needle is pointing to the Luber line over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and we'll continue to hear that signal for the NDB. It's nice that we know that this is where we are. If we start hearing a different Morse code, that means that we are not in the correct NDB. And then we want to check on the frequency. All right, so we are moving that needle and making sure that needle it's pointing upwards there and pointing towards the Luber line over here. Not sure why it's called the Luber line, but that's what it's called. Alright, so there we are. We are now in the direction of that NDB. Okay, and what I like to do is always kind of change the heading here to my current magnetic heading, because this is not, it's not slave into your into the gauge here. So I always like to keep it, you know, and that just for directional awareness, for situational awareness. So here we are. And as you get closer to the NDB, like with VORs, you'll see that the changes in this gauge are going to be more pronounced. So that means you are getting closer, even though, so that you can use that as a way of gauging, you know, if you're getting closer to the NDB, because it doesn't give you, you know, distance here. The signal doesn't give you distance. So once you get closer to Concord Airport, you know, you just tune into the tower there, and they'll give you direction. So like I was saying, we'll just tune into tower and say, tower, I only have navigational navigation. I only have the NDB available, and then they'll give you vectors using the NDB to get into your landing runway. All right, so if we check, let's check on our tablet here where we are in relation to that NDB. So you see it right there. I'm gonna pause it for a minute here and get closer to that tablet here, and you can see how close we are, and we are in that direction right there, just about to cross that NDB. Let's go back in here, and again unpause it. So it's fairly simple, just you know, a way of an instrument that will just provide you a backup to when everything else fails. You know, we don't have, you know, GPS is fairly reliable, but I don't know, maybe there are, you know, solar storms or something that is just going to fry GPS satellites, and then you are in the middle of that situation, and then what do you do when, you know, the skies are cloudy and you don't have visual references? Now that you're fairly close to that NDB, we'll just start seeing that needle just kind of like switching very quickly. And then you see now that needle quickly moving in the other direction, and that means that we're crossing the NDB, and I'm going to show it to you here. So yeah, we're over that NDB, and then we're just going to chase the needle. We're just turning around into the NDB. So there you are over that, and then you'll go ahead and contact the tower, and they'll give you the vectors. So there you're. And that's how you use the NDBs for navigation when everything else fails. And then now we are in Concord, New Hampshire over there, and we're just gonna go ahead and land. There we go. Nice landing, a little bit off the center line. That's all right. All right, my friends, here we are, and yeah, I hope you got something out of that and learned how to use NDBs as your basic navigational as your basic navigation there when everything else fails. All right, my friends, stay tuned for the next video we're gonna do. Is just gonna be your basic VOR navigation, and we'll go quickly over that and some of the instrumentations that you'll have available for that. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. And remember, my friends, Ziggy Air will get you there. Ziggy Air is best in the air, and my friends, I don't make this stuff up. I'm only told what to say. I'll see you on the next one.